So the activity with the smallest resource capacity is called the bottleneck. This means that our process capacity then is equal to the bottleneck capacity, which is here. We have shown in red there, 10 boards per hour. Now this is important. Why? Because even though our assembly here, our assembly can produce 12 boards per hour, and sand is even able to produce more boards per hour, we're not allowed to build up any partially finished boards between our steps here. We have no option for storing inventory between the steps. So everybody is stuck working at the rate of the bottleneck, which is 10 boards per hour, because paint can't go any faster. And this brings us to another important measure of our process flow. We know that the flow time, remember this speed of the process, with this 5 plus 4 plus 6 is 15 minutes. And this is the time it takes to process a board. We now have a flow rate, which is going to be here equal to our process capacity. How many boards can be produced per hour? Assuming, don't forget the word rate, it's not time, it's rate, boards per hour. Now here it's important, we're making an assumption here. We assume that we have enough inputs, enough raw material, and enough demand. We can sell every skateboard we make. So in this case, the flow rate is equal to the process capacity here. The rate at which our factory is producing skateboards, given that we have enough input and that we have enough demand from our skateboard dudes who are buying our skateboards. So, we'll come back to that distinction a little bit later in the concept of the lean course. If we don't have any demand, then our flow rate should be slowed down to meet the demand, and we wouldn't actually produce as much. So, this allows us to come to another very important measure, our resource utilization. And this is the flow rate divided by the resource capacity. And just a point, the flow rate, the resource utilization cannot be greater than 100%. Let's look at that next. So, what did we say? We have the resource activity time P, 5 minutes per board at assembly, 4 minutes per board at sand, and 6 minutes per board at paint. The capacity, which is equal to 1 over P, or 1 over 5, 1 over 4, and 1 over 6. Capacity in boards per hour, 12 boards per hour, 15 boards per hour, and the bottleneck, 10 boards per hour. The resource utilization is the flow rate over the resource capacity. The flow rate is equal to the process capacity, and the process capacity is equal to the capacity of the bottleneck. So this means at assembly, our resource utilization is equal to the bottleneck capacity over the resource capacity, or about 83%. Likewise, at sand, you have the process capacity over the resource capacity at sand is about 67%. And what do you think the resource utilization is at the bottleneck? You've got it. 10 over 10 is going to be equal to 100%. What does this mean? The bottleneck is working all the time. If there's enough input and enough demand, the process capacity is equal to the capacity of the bottleneck. And that painter better keep painting 100% of the time in order to keep the process at least producing 10 boards per hour. So here we have everything written there at the top. And I just wanted to go through a nice way of looking at this for people that are new to this idea of capacity. And this is a Gantt chart. So this is, if you do project management, you've probably used Gantt charts. It's a way of illustrating a schedule. It's showing, for example, the different times in order for different activities in a process. Let's draw this out there. We first look at our resources. So we have assembly, we have sanding, and we have painting, right? So this might get a little bit messy, so just bear with me here. The assembly, sanding, and painting. And we have different times, and we've been using minutes. So if I can take some time here to draw some minutes. A little sloppy. This is our time of our process, and it's in minutes. So we have minute 1, minute 2, minute 3, minute 4. So the assembly comes in. Our first board comes in, for example. The assembly starts, and maybe I can change colors here. Let's use assembly, let's use green. Green for assembly. Takes 5 minutes per board. So the assembly is working 5 minutes. So the first 5 minutes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe I better write out the rest of the minutes here. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 6, 20, 27, 28, 30, 31 und so weiter. That's your German for the day. Let's move on to sand. How many minutes did we have for sand? Sand was here with 4 minutes. So sand, after 5 minutes is up, the first board is going to come here and take 4 minutes worth of time. Right? And then we're going to start to paint. Let's make paint purple. Paint has 6 minutes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And here, what we already want to show you, look at this. Here's your 15 minutes flow time. Right? 15 minutes to get that first board out of your system. That was my 6 minutes. 5 minutes. This took 5 minutes, this took 4 minutes, and this took 6 minutes. Now, let's, how do you work on that? We want to, that was our time. I think everybody understands that. Let's go back to this idea of rate, of process capacity. Remember, process capacity is the maximum number of units that you can produce per period of time. And we've said that the process capacity is going to be equal to the capacity of our bottleneck. Now, we also said that this bottleneck better be working all the time. So that means as soon as board number 1 gets finished over here, maybe I tried to change color again. As soon as board number 1 is finished, board number 1, board number 2 better get started, and it's going to take also 6 minutes for painting. This is going to be board 2. And then it better not stop. We have to keep producing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is board 3. And again, 1, 2, 3. So board 4. You can go off into forever. This factory is working several shifts. That's our bottleneck. And this is the Gantt chart is showing you this bottleneck doesn't get a break. Doesn't get a break. But you remember, we said we couldn't keep any inventory between the steps. So sanding can only pass on to painting when painting's ready to go. Sanding takes 4 minutes. So in order for the second board to go into painting, so this was board 1 here. This is board 2. And then board 2 will move into painting. That means that board will have to start then a little bit before, precisely 4 minutes before. It can move then into painting, right? And finally, we've got to start our boards. Green here. Here was our first board. It moved into assemble, then into sand. So again, we've got to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Board 2 takes 5 minutes, and then it moves into sanding, and then board 2 moves into painting, just like that. Board 2 board 2, board 1, and board 1. And so your Gantt chart allows you to go to draw in your process the different activities and shows you clearly then that your bottleneck is working all the time. But it also shows you clearly something else, right? It shows you that the other resources are not working all the time. So, what does it show you here? There's some idle time here. Let me try the idle time maybe in another color. How about yellow? There's some idle time here. There's 2 minutes of idle time for every board when it comes to sanding. That makes sense, right? Sanding only takes 4 minutes. So every 6 minutes a board comes out. So that, you know, the sand is working for 4 minutes and sitting around for 4 minutes. The same for assembly. You have 1 minute of idle time here at assembly. So this is giving you then a very nice picture of your full process, and we're going to come back to that again. We have this idea that you have a rate, the flow rate, which given enough input and enough demand is going to be equal to the process capacity. I'm going to write that in there with enough input and enough demand, which is going to be here equal to 10 boards per hour. Whoops. Which means that your bottleneck here is working paint 100% of the time, and the others have to fall into place. The other activities have to align themselves. We have no way of storing inventory between our processes, so that they produce then the boards so that our bottleneck can keep working. And we can see then the problem is that sometimes these people are sitting around. They don't have anything to sand or to assemble. They're waiting for paint. And this is going to be very, very important in our next lectures. So here we see the Gantt chart. Unfortunately, the color is a little bit off. This is the, and this, my, can see that when you download the slides though. But what we're showing here is the assembly for the first board here. The assembly for the sanding for the first board continues. And then the assembly, the painting for the first board continues here. Second board starts, assembled, sand and paint. Third board starts, assemble, sand and paint. Fourth board starts, assembled, sand and paint. And so forth and so forth. So, I'd like you to try that yourself also. With some of the examples. And we'll be coming back to this later, so please follow that.